Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And this morning, folks, as per usual, we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, and also a very merry, not stupid o'clock. Alright, first off, you are going to see the link to this disgusting report right there in the description box, along with the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including the Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the templates, folks. Click on it, sign your name, click on your senator, two and done. Please get it done. We need to end aversive therapies and improper restraints. You have no idea how many kids die a year due to improper restraints. All right? Also, the other present, change.org, shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. If you haven't already signed it, folks, please go ahead and do so. And please share on all your social media. Also, folks, when we are talking about the JRC, you're going to get vivid descriptions of, and you're going to see clips to video surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you've got young ones present, folks, please go ahead and use your headphones. All right, folks, we are going back to where we left off yesterday. Recommendations. Alright, now don't forget to square your shoulders. The stupid's coming. Clinical and case managers must be clearly instructed not to call the residences directly, even through the IP phone system, and should be required to go through DVR, as all outside callers are required to do. Here we go again about control over the phone calls. First it's paperwork, now it's phone calls. Jesus Christ, Judge, you must really not want anything getting out, do you? JRC should modify its IP phone system to restrict calls to residences from an IP phone system on campus so that all calls go through DVR and follow protocol for all incoming calls. Now, on the surface, folks, this looks like a way to stop an incident like this from happening by preventing prank calls. But look at it a little bit deeper. This actually tightens the controls over phone calls coming in and going out from the residences. It makes it that much harder for kids inside that school to be able to reach out to the outside world and say what the hell is going on. So, dig deeper. JRC should amend the procedures for residential phone calls to include this procedure. Although staff is trained and retrained that they cannot administer an aversive consequence without witnessing the behavior personally, there exists a possibility that the staff may follow the directive of a clinician or case manager, even if the staff member did not witness any behaviors. You're a fucking liar, Judge. You said that they would never do it unless they witnessed it, and you're contradicting yourself. Again, I'm not going to trust any goddamn case manager or clinician who's having their pockets lined by this place, okay? Just putting it out there. Direct care staff reported that they would sometimes call clinicians or case managers from residences with questions about students' programs, indicating a high level of trust in the clinicians and case managers with regard to program concerns. Oh, for fuck's sake, but God forbid you talk to the student. Jesus. JRC training programs should also include instructing staff that clinicians and case managers cannot direct staff to administer consequences if the staff member did not witness the behavior. Oh, for fuck's sake, Judge, is it one or the other? One or the other. Fucking pick one. You've gone forward, back, Forward, back. Oh my god, dude. Which one is it? All direct care staff interviewed knew clearly that the DVR monitoring cannot call a residence and direct staff to administer GEDs. Really, Judge? Really? Really? I call bullshit. How many times have you said DVR monitors and pinpoints behaviors? Really? And that staff cannot administer adverses without witnessing the behavior meriting the same. And you contradict. How are we going to go? How much time? For the love of God, Judge, how much are we going to go back and forth here? First, you say they can't go back. Then you can say they can if the clinicians and case managers approve. Then you say they can't do it again. Which one is it? However, even if staff would most likely react properly, forcing clinicians and case managers to verify themselves through DVR when they wish to call a residence would foreclose any possibility that an imposter would call a residence posing as a clinician or case manager. So this is all for their safety, right, Judge? I'm sorry, but I dig deeper. This puts tighter controls on who gets in from the outside world. And if it's all JRC approved, you have to forgive me if I think all this is bullshit. JRC could also consider the use of personal employee codes or shift-specific passwords that JRC employees wishing to call a residence must provide to DVR monitoring before they are able to speak with anyone at the residence. Isn't it interesting that a JRC staff member can call someone at a residence when they are not on shift, I might add, almost with no barriers in place? But a parent has to jump through 10 million hoops in order to talk to their kid at a residence? Interesting, isn't it? Additionally, JRC needs to enforce the written policy requiring supervisors to speak with all incoming callers. One of the concerns with the August 2007 incident is that the shift supervisor did not speak with the caller posing as a DVR monitor. Oh my God, here we go again. See, they're putting it off on the staff. It's all taken care of, and they're just rare bad eggs when it's bullshit. This place has a higher turnover rate than any call center I have ever fucking worked for. And I gotta tell you, call center turnover is massive. And this place has a higher turnover rate. Digest that. JRC justifiably then adopted a policy requiring the designated supervisor on shift to receive all incoming calls with exceptions for a crisis or a scheduled break. Apparently, this policy is not being consistently enforced, as all direct care staff and supervisors interviewed stated that the supervisor does not need to answer all incoming calls or speak with all callers. A training or retraining may be required on this policy, and DVR monitoring may need to be alerted to watch for this at the residences. Staff hiring and retention. Summary of findings. So basically all of this is all smokescreen. And what do I mean by that? It means it looks all good and reasonable to keep an incident from happening again. But I think they're using this incident to make it that much harder for people to find out what is actually going on in this school. What do I mean? They are tightening everything. Meanwhile, putting on the facade that they're making things more accessible and more safe. Look at the new phone procedures that this judge is proposing. That means tighter controls on who these kids get to speak to. It means those kids are being observed for everything that they say in those phones. Think about it. How the hell are they supposed to get out a call for help and not be punished for it? Tell me that. All right. Anyways, we'll go here. Based on interviews with staff and administrators, JRC does not often hire new employees for lateral staff and administrative positions. All of the current administrators originally hired as direct care staff and were promoted from within until they reached their current position. Think about that. Think about, again, this is, again, no one from the outside world. So they take these kids on as high school graduates. Think about that. They give them next to no fucking training and then they throw them in. And if they manage to endure and they manage to get these kids brainwashed early enough and they stay out of desperation, whatever the case may be, by the time they hit administration, they are completely brainwashed at that point. Think about it. They have had no outside work experience. They have never worked for another clinic, another healthcare facility, psychiatrist, psychologist, group home, day home, ever. That goes for the clinicians and the doctors and the nurses they have working for them. They too started as direct care, and they have never worked outside that setting. Think on it. Seriously, think on it. They've never even done clinic hours outside this place. Whereas most people in the medical and mental health field, they have to. All right, moving on. Given the nature of the work direct care staff performs at JRC, it is challenging for the school to keep direct care staff members. See, there's that high turnover rate. It's worse than a goddamn call center. JRC goes a long way to attempting to make employment worthwhile for direct care staff. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Gotta have them brainwashed. The benefits package for staff members is excellent, including education assistance, full medical and dental benefits, retirement plans, paid holidays, and vacation days. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave them the best care package in the goddamn world. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. They're building loyalty, folks. They're building loyalty. It's almost brainwashing when you think about it. The monitor would like to raise as an ongoing concern the qualifications and training of all employees, particularly given that the level of experience, training, and supervision of direct care staff involved in the August 2007 incident was a significant issue. It's a significant issue across the board, Judge. You are throwing high school graduates into the medical field. You are throwing them into the mental health field with 3 fucking weeks of training. Most medical assistant programs are at least about 6 months long. But this place says, 3 weeks are good. For God's sake. To be fair, as otherwise noted in this report, great strides have been made since August 2007 incident in a number of areas, including qualifications and skills of its staff. Is the initial training course longer than 3 weeks yet, Judge? Is it? Do you require these folks to retain the education the same as your basic medical assistant who has to go through a program that is at least 6 months long and get certified before they're even allowed near the students? Because it's required out here in my state. You have to be certified. You have to go through a 6-month program, including gaining clinic hours, working with not one, but at least 2 different clinics in the area. And that's just your basic run-of-the-mill medical assistant training program. Just saying. Recommendations. Given the nature of the population JRC serves, it is understandable that JRC may experience challenges in hiring qualified employees. Are you really fucking excusing this shit? Really? Really? But 3 weeks is sufficient, Judge? 3 weeks is sufficient. What the hell? So tell me, out in Massachusetts, for your run-of-the-mill medical assistant, well, can they get certified in 2 days then? Because that's what that shit sounds like to me. Ugh. However, continuing to endeavor to also hire from outside the JRC to fill lateral staff and administrative positions may help provide a diversity in opinions and experiences at the supervisory and decision-making levels. This type of diversity would help ensure that all potential problems are considered and would help the JRC continue to develop robust safety policies. It would provide for a fresh set of eyes. Okay, let me get this straight, Judge. So you think anybody from the outside fucking world that has worked in other clinical settings, day programs, group homes, what have you, other programs, you really think they're going to come into the JRC and says, well, this is just lovely? No, Judge, no. And the fact that you believe that they would, and that they would improve it even more, I'm glad you are not completely blind. I'm glad that you see that there is something very, very fucked up with the concept that there is nobody from the outside in upper management, in these committees. I'm glad that you actually see that. That's fantastic. What you continue to not see is that this entire treatment program is not just a joke, but the most monstrous, cruel, and inhumane joke in the world. And if you actually believe that an outside source would condone and help improve this school, you are outside your mind. All right, moving forward. The monitor recognizes the difficulty JRC faces when attempting to find qualified responsible candidates to fill direct care positions, particularly given the sacrifices that accompany working with residents at the JRC. Oh, for fuck's sake! Are we ever going to stop victim blaming, Judge? This is, again, the judge trying to tell you these kids are out of control. These kids must be controlled by any means necessary. And yes, we know how bad it looks, but it's necessary. This is that bullshit line they're trying to sell you. And right after this, we're going to tell you exactly what this judge is saying is necessary. The school must continue making efforts to hire direct care employees who are willing to learn, are responsible, and will take their work extremely seriously. Additionally, JRC must continue to scrutinize candidates for clinical positions to ensure that all clinicians have requisite qualifications and experience to make sound therapeutic student decisions for the students. Let me show you what they mean by that. This is what the judge would consider under control, safe, and reasonable. And once we take a look at this, just to remind you, we will go ahead and close out. But first, let me remind you, of what they find as reasonable. I'm just going to remind you here. Okay, we go to the beginning of the video.
Screams of pain from a student at the Judge Rotenberg Center as he's tied down and shocked for hours. Good evening, I'm Mark Cochran.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Stefanos. Fox Undercover's camera, the only one in court today, as a jury is given its first.
This is what they consider okay.
Dramatic video of New York teenager Andre McCollins, restrained face down, a helmet on his head, screaming for help. Judge Rotenberg Center calls it treatment. I was shocked when I was 16.
That's what they consider okay.
I was 17. I was 31 that day. As McCollins.
Watch it.
These are dramatic tapes. There's no question about that. But the treatment plan at the Rotenberg.
Okay, folks. I want you to understand what you see in there. This is what they think is reasonable and okay. This is what the judge considers treatment. And on that dark note, we're going to go ahead and close out for this afternoon. Well, morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, we hope you have a good one.